Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whichever part of the world that you're watching from. And welcome to this World Water Week's talk show, which will be all about how drones and modeling tools improve water adaptation in Central Asia. We're very happy to have you here with us today, whether you're here seated with us in this room in Stockholm or whether you're watching from home, online, anywhere in the world. A very warm welcome to you. Now, my name is Haja Yacoubi. I am a previous UN Youth representative for the Netherlands, but above all, I'm very delighted and honored to be your moderator for these upcoming 20 minutes as we'll be diving into an important topic. Because for these next 20 minutes, we'll be exploring the vital connection between the water crisis, cryospheric dynamic changes that we see, and their impacts on people's daily lives with a specific focus on Central Asia. We'll discuss how Tajikistan, a real leader in global cryospheric initiatives, is using technology and cooperation to really improve cryospheric monitoring, water allocation, water action as well, and how these efforts can help inform water adaptation strategies everywhere in the world. So a lot to dive into, and we'll do that. But before we do, I would also like to note to people tuning in that there is interpretation available in Russian. If you'd like to make use of that, make sure to scan the QR code and open the Interprefy app, and then you should be able to get that interpretation right away at your hand's disposal. But for now, I would like to turn to our stellar panel because I'm very honored and delighted to be joined, first of all, by His Excellency Minister Daler Jum'a. You're the Minister of Energy and Water Resources of Tajikistan. Very happy to have you with us.
Thank
Then,
you.
thank you so much. We're also joined by Sonu Khanal, who is a senior glacial hydrological modeling and climate change expert at Future Water. Sonu, a warm welcome to you as well.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we are also joined by Esteban Boygacia, who is the project manager and head of water resource management at climate change within GIZ Tajikistan. A very
Thank
warm
you very
welcome
much.
to all of you. Minister Juma, if I can start with you. I mean, when we talk about the role of Tajikistan, you have played a significant, incredible role when it comes to, water on the global stage. I mean, being the co-host of the UN 2023 Water Conference, but also leading initiatives like the International Year of Glacier Preservation in the year to come in 2025. Can you maybe speak more to why it is so important for Tajikistan to take up such leadership when it comes to global water access?
Yeah, no, once again, thank you for having us. And I also take opportunity to thank CIVI for organizing the World Water Week and congratulate the CIVI for the success. It's really a success. And certainly also thank our very like-minded partner, GIZ, who is hosting today events, but also bringing the international expertise like what the future for applying the new technologies, models in order to manage to manage the challenges that we have. Indeed, for us in Tajikistan, I normally say that it's our DNA.
Right.
It isn't part of our DNA, and this is quite critical for us and the leadership that we have been taking in the global initiatives. There are several reasons, and the main one is actually, as upstream country, we are in a mountain areas, and even though the carbon footprint coming from our economy is close to zero,
Right.
we are top 5 countries that are most vulnerable to the climate changes.
Yeah.
Therefore, for us, it is important taking this initiative as an international decade for action, water for sustainable development 2018-2028, as a co-hosting the UN Water Conference in 2023, and also every 2 years organizing the Dushanbe Water Conference. With this, we would like to promote the challenges, first of all, to bring the communities together and to address the challenges that we have. We believe that those platforms are helping us to come up with innovative solutions that we can do it. And for us, the water issue is not a problem of an individual country. It's a global matter, and only the global community can do it. So we see our role in bringing together the global community to address those challenges.
Yeah. Thank you so much for speaking to that. And Minister Juma, if I can maybe zoom in a bit more on the context of Tajikistan, could you speak more on sort of the role of cryosphere in Tajikistan? And specifically, I'm interested into hearing what some of the achievements are that you may have made when it comes to, adaptation to climate change, but then through water resource management.
Yeah. Indeed, over 90% of the territory of Tajikistan are mountains, and we are home to 60% of the water resources in Central Asia, and where over 100 million people are living, including in Afghanistan. And the 60% of those water resources, most of it comes from glaciers and snow. So for us, it's quite vital that we now look the issues even in a greater details, kind of zooming it in, and following the. And for us is also an example that I can give is for the last 3 decades we lost around 1,000 of our glaciers out of the 14,000, and the speed is actually it's increasing in a high speed, and by 2050 we might lose significant part of it, and it is therefore for us it's important to look at that matter following the UN declarations on declaring 2025 the International Year of Glaciers preservations. A few weeks ago, the UN has adopted another important decree, and we, Tajikistan, were leading it together with colleagues from France to have it the International Decade for Action for Cryospheric Science 2025-2035, and we believe that it's important to bring the scientifics and researchers to quantify the problem. But we believe that it's not just simple. We take it over to our scientists and leave it as it is. We believe that as a community we should work together, so it's not only about scientific research, but it's also to develop those methodologies and to deploy. Unfortunately, we don't have much data on glaciers, and we believe this is very important initiatives, and Tajikistan will continue to promote it.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it speaks even more to the leadership. I already mentioned the UN 2023 Water Conference, 2025, the International Year of Glacier Preservation, but then also this Cryospheric Scientific Decade that you are co-coining. So I think it speaks to that. Esteban, if I can go to you next, maybe if we can go into the specificity, because I'm very curious, can you explain more on the role of GIZ's efforts in Tajikistan and Central Asia, especially when it comes to water resource management?
Certainly, thanks, Hajar. Indeed, GIZ has been supporting the Ministry of Energy and Water Resources of Tajikistan for the last year and a half, thanks to a co-funding of the German government and the European Union in something that is very sensible to do when it comes to water resources management, which is river basin planning and water allocation. At the same time, the conditions were there to make this process more coherent, at the same time more innovative by bringing in cutting-edge technology such as drone, as you can see from this background slide, also hydrological modeling and water allocation modeling to really make sure that the planning really matched the water resources available, but most importantly, that the water really reached the different water users and economic sectors and facilitate cross-sectoral planning.
Yeah.
The role of GIZ has two legs. One is to bridge cooperation, basin planning, and water allocation, right, as the minister said, is not a one agency thing. We really need to bring the several institutions and water users on board. This year's World Water Week is really about interconnectivity along the water
Right.
hydrological
Yeah,
cycle.
bridging the borders.
Bridging the borders. So this is a little bit what we've supported the ministry doing, and also through capacity building. This is the second leg. We've trained more than 25 specialists from the different institutions, more than 100 hours, each of them using the same technology.
Yeah.
And this is also our approach to the sustainability of all these initiatives.
I was going to say, because it ensures sort of the long-term prospect of
Exactly.
being able to carry that out. That is on the almost, and I love that community enhancement bit. If we would look at sort of the techniques that are being used, and I would like to turn to you for that, Sonu. Could you guide us maybe through the integrated water management, water resource management approach that you have? So, what is the techniques that you're using? What is the nexus sort of in these projects to help predict climate change impact specifically on water resources in mountainous areas?
Yeah, thanks, Hazar. So in simple terms, I would like to say that we are now connecting glaciers with the people, right? The water which is generated upstream is actually being used downstream by the communities, by the sectors such as food, energy, environment, right?
Yeah.
And at the moment, science is really focused on understanding the state of the cryosphere, but not much effort has been directed towards, okay, what are the impacts, right? What it actually means to the water resources.
Yeah.
So we are bridging this gap in this project where we are really looking into, okay, what are the impacts of climate change on the cryosphere on different time horizons, short term, medium term, and long term, right? Climate change always comes with a time scale. So we are addressing these gaps. And in this project specifically, there are three key components, as already mentioned by my previous speaker. So the first thing, we are ensuring that the cryospheric monitoring is there, right? To do any sort of planning, we need to understand what is actually the state. So we are going to the glaciers, we are using all these cutting edge technologies, as you can see there, drones. We are collecting data on the glaciers. And the second step is actually to translate that data to information, right, which we sort of lack.
Right.
So we are using these toolkits and also in more participatory approach that we co-design. It's not just we are developing them by ourselves, but we're also helping the local stakeholders, right, to co-design. And the third key component is the sustainability of the approach, right? For any innovation or idea to be sustainable, it has to be uptaken by the local community, the national stakeholders. So we are providing them technologies, we are providing them trainings, right? We've done, for past 1.5 years, we've been providing several training. And just to let you know that last month or last week, actually, there were 15 participants from Tajikistan. They traveled to Netherlands for these advanced training on water resource management.
Yeah, that's amazing to see. It really speaks to what Esteban was touching upon earlier, right? The sort of ensurement of sustainability by making sure that you do that capacity building. Esteban, I mean, reflecting back on all these projects, what would you say very briefly are some of the key lessons learned in that process?
I would highlight two of them. The first one is to really acknowledge what happened in this case. All this work, cryospheric focus work, it didn't happen in a specific research project focused on glaciers. It really happened within a rural development program co-funded by the German government and the European Union. And this thing is particularly innovative because it really allowed and provided the enabling conditions to connect the glaciers to the farms. We like to call it a glacier to farm approach. And in this process, we really involve everyone, river basin organizations, river basin councils, and other water users, the Agency of Meteorology owning the data, and ultimately the decision maker, the Ministry of Energy and Water Resources.
Yeah.
So we opened up, really, we facilitating opening up different research communities, the water community, the rural development community, the climate information services community. So all this could happen because of this specific environment. And second, we really acknowledge the role of technology to drive cooperation. When you deploy specific technology, like the model, the hydrological model, which is now deployed in the several servers of the different institutions. Now they have a common tool to use, common language. They can produce similar results, comparable results, talk to each other, and what Sonu was saying, translating the data into information. And most importantly, we train young specialists, to build the intergenerational gap that currently exists in Tajikistan and also in Central Asia. And this is, I think, also a success of the program.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear you're really at the forefront sort of exploring this field. Naturally, then, I want to ask you, Sonu, what would you say are some of the recommendations that you would have to sort of like national and regional adaptation when it comes to plans and policies to sort of enhance water resource management?
Yeah, there are many things that I can say, but I would like to keep it a bit brief based on my learnings last 2 years in Central Asia, but then also the other regions of high mountain Asia. So what's really important is we need to have continuous monitoring of the cryosphere actually, right? Because to make all this plan and policy in future, we really don't know what is the current status, right? So that has to be there. There should be seamless transformation of information to the different stakeholders, right? So there should be data centers, and it should be centrally located, so where everybody could access those information. The second information, which is very critical in this region, is the capacity we're building, right? In most cases, we see that these national stakeholders, they do not have enough technical know-how, right, to make sure that the whole approach is sustainable.
Right.
So we really need to make sure that, that there's capacity, and how can we ensure that? By including them into curriculum, right? By fostering the international collaboration. So, and the last thing that I really want to recommend is there should be science-based policy, right? That policy should be, based on the science. And for that, you really need to have a participatory approach, right? The work that we're doing with several stakeholders, they should have their own voice in making those policies.
But that is quite an interesting point, because when we speak about policy, and perhaps you can touch upon this briefly, Esteban, what is the relevance there, the policy relevance?
I think this is a very important question, and I think we need to really get the message right as to why these kind of water solutions, these policy processes led by Tajikistan are relevant for everyone, even for people that maybe don't live in basins where there are glaciers, right? They're not glacier-fed, snow-fed. And you see these policy processes, I think they're going to bring a lot of attention to particular areas of the world where 2 billion people live, and where they're going to become, and they're already, they're undergoing dramatic changes in their water cycles, and so they are becoming now really interesting laboratories of water solutions where we can all really learn. Now we have to really be there as development partners, supporting our local partners to really make sure that these learnings are picked up and then communicate them globally, because solutions like water allocation, modeling, the use of cutting-edge technology is useful everywhere.
Right.
So, and finally, if we are to deliver countries have to deliver into adaptation commitments, mitigation commitments, really adaptation and mitigation actions, at the end of the day, they need water in the right amounts and with the right quality. So solutions like this one are really relevant across sectors, not only for our water bubble,
but also outside of it as
and
well.
outside of it. And it will definitely help us really deliver on the climate change challenge.
Thank you so much. That really underlines the importance of this. We're coming to the end of the talk show, so I want to ask you a final question, Minister Jum'a. I mean, considering Tajikistan leadership when it comes to, the cryosphere, global water, what do you hope that, we here, everybody in Stockholm, but also to all the people watching online as part of the global water community, what do you hope is the main message that people take away from this?
No, thank you. Maybe little closer, shortly reflect on what my colleague said. Normally, the government works top-down approach. Talking about Tajikistan, we're certainly looking and have developed the integrated water management procedures. We've been establishing the river basin organizations and councils. We look at the institutional restructuring in the legislations, rehabilitating the infrastructure, everything. But what I seeing is missing is the data on the ground. So what I hope that through those mechanisms that my colleagues just mentioned, that we quantify the problems and it can be very constant. And also early Tajikistan was leading the UN adaptation of the UN declarations also on the International Year of Glaciers Conservations. And one of the components is there is to
Right.
establish a fund, a dedicated fund of doing that one. So what one of our speakers was saying today is how we can make it continuously. The second thing that I think is to all the stakeholders, I think we should continue to increase the commitments towards achieving the SDG goals of 2030, and I can hear that more and more people are saying that it's the government who should make it more political,
Right.
bring political supports, and in fact,
Yeah.
we within the COP29, our president, His Excellency Muhammad Rahman, will be talking about the specific items, and we are aiming to organize within the COP29 also the summit of the head of the states,
Right.
where we will make the more commitments. However, what I think is also important is we have, I think, talking about the UN 2023, talking about one of the important matter of it is the water action agenda is already have this commitment, but I think what will be important from the other stakeholders to equip us as a government with the tools
Okay.
so that we can plan it better and
do
we
it
can take
together.
the decision.
Yeah.
And again, it's a global matter, and only in collective manner
Right.
as a global community
Yeah.
we can handle it. And I think we will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It really speaks to the core of cooperation. Thank you so much for sharing all your expertise, and thank you to all of you for tuning in with us today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.